Alright, let me check the mic here. Mic levels look alright. Alrighty, here we go. I actually, this is more of a, I don't even know what to call it. I was gonna call it a, something a little too derogatory, but it's more jerry-rigged than usual today. Not much mechanically, just I hopped right into it. So some things are not as well prepared as I prefer them to be. But I hope you folks are well. Let me check. Yeah, that's one of the things, right? I didn't even look at this to see how it looks. Last two, three, last maybe 10 seconds of the intro, I got the lights on. Like, oh boy, not enough caffeine yet either. Mm. But I hope you folks are well. I'm Cody with IronVerse Comics. This is what you're reading. I hope you folks are doing well. Uh, Not too much to talk about today. I'm hoping if we have any excellent viewers, you folks will have things to talk about as well. But let's hop right into it and see where we go. Start with this. I am going to do an Ironverse quickie, hopefully today, just to get back into it on this right here. I'm going to call it an anthology. It's an anthology. It's a micro anthology, is what I'd call it, because most of the comics, and they are comics. They're just really short. They're somewhere between a comic strip and like a short, because some of them are 2 pages, some of them are 3 pages, right? It's called Blacklight District, 6 issues from Image. I got it in a random box. I don't even know what year it's from, to be honest. Let me see. There's not really any info on the inside cover. Is there info on that? There you go, back cover. August 2016. So it's relatively old. There might have been sequels. I have no idea. I liked it because of the cover. I love the coloring on the cover. I think it looks pretty bitchin'. The image is pretty neat too. Um, it's done in a style of like song lyrics. I kind of thought it was supposed to be poetry, which makes sense too, but no, it's song lyrics. So it's supposed to be like images running in your head while you're listening to these lyrics. Again and again with different teams and different art styles, different writing, but a lot of repeating writing. Like this is the final page of the final short, and the captions are all the same words 4 times, the letter boxes. So, you know, um, it was all right. It was all right. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be when I first started it. Because like this one's art is a trip, right? Look at it. It's the first one you jump into. Um, I think it's about corporate America and politics. It's called Symptoms. I mean, it's pretty good at hitting that they live vibe. So I'm a fan there. Uh, Anything that puts forward that perception and makes sure people are aware of that perception of all of this massive mechanisms. Um, it's a friend. Best way to put it. So I appreciate that. Um, Written fine. It's just the repeating lyrics thing. It doesn't add much substance to it, and it kind of forced disconnect with the art in many of these shorts. There's one that's quite short. I feel like it's only 3 pages. Yeah, it's only 3 pages called Mad Hatton, and it comments on Jack Kirby and Stan Lee's relationship in the background, but the song doesn't have the lyrics that they put to it. It doesn't have too much to do with it. Basically, it goes to Stan Lee, and he gets a movie ticket instead of any kind of uh, financial security. It's a free fucking movie ticket. Um, And I just kind of like Jack seeing the Hulk, in this case, the Incredible Bulk, um, getting super famous. And yeah, that one's the one that stuck with me the most because it's in industry, right? But yeah, I'm not. The art style in that one's fine. Let me show you. We'll go with the last page. Why not? There you go. I mean, it's pretty classic comics, which fits pretty well. And in fact, they tried to the artist tried to pull off Jack Kirby. I think is what they were going for, and they do fine. I mean, you're not gonna pull off Jack Kirby. You're not Jack Kirby, but for an homage, for like honoring the idea, they did pretty damn good, honestly. It's got a little bit of that feel to it. It's not as psychedelic or as impactful as Kirby art, but it's got the vibe to it, to the lines and the shading, right? So that was cool. But again, the writing in this, trying to pigeonhole this idea of song lyrics as the writing, I get it, and I'm glad somebody tried it. Because now I know it's not really all that worth it. It's like you'll see in other comics sometimes they'll have a song in the background where it'll be in quotes and it'll have maybe a music symbol or whatever, so you know that it's a song, right? And they're quoting song lyrics. And so if you know that song and you're reading that, it could set a mood to the paneling. And usually there's not too much else going on in the paneling, usually just like setups and action, or sometimes some kind of having like "Don't Fear the Reaper" and then there's a car accident, that kind of thing, right? Which movies have done forever, but comics can also do. That works. I've seen that work a few times. This is a little different because they're new songs, quote unquote. These aren't actual song lyrics. They're a new song without rhythm. The rhythm is provided by the paneling, right? Your first impression of it. It's not some song you memorize in your head that has its own rhythm and sets its own pace and its own mood. So you're left to have these lyrics, their tone and rhythm set by the paneling, and that's not as effective for what they're trying to do here. But again, I mean, there's some great art. Like this guy does a great Alex Ross kind of hyper realistic watercolor painting vibe. I think they did great. Great artist. I'm glad they got a gig. Just didn't read that great um, because of the repeating lyrics. And like this one too. I love the art in this one. I think super expressive. I really like the style, but it just I had the story in that one. Okay, so this one, which is what it's called, Hammer. Um, I really liked because it shows a story over generations very quickly, and it does it with respect. And then spreading the ashes of where we started, the person who we started with, Dad in this one, or Mom in this case, I think is what it is, at the end. So I liked that one, and I think it is actually the vision of one person, Miss Andrea Tommy, unless it's Mr. Andrea, because I've seen that as well. Wonderful artist, and again the writing and the lettering, since it's not in boxes, this person chose to just put the lettering straight onto the panels. I think it works a lot better. This one might work the best, but again, having to repeat the the words as a chorus within such a short bit of time, right? Comics plays with time, and the real time, not the paneling time, not the story time. It doesn't work as well, I don't think, but it was enjoyable. But again, this artist, I really like this artist and this singular vision. That's the one I enjoyed the most out of Black Light District, 6 issues. um, and then we begin with an anti corporate, anti government sentiment, and we end with one called Bizarro. And the art's good. The art's good. It's a little sketchy, but that's the point. It's supposed to kind of convey desperation um, and insanity, honestly, because it ends with somebody pressing the button and destroying the world. But the motif, the idea, the theme of this, I didn't think they nailed it on the head. They maybe did the best they could do with the idea, however. And from a writer standpoint, from a creator standpoint, I think it's really interesting. As an entertaining comic book, not really. And I hate to say that because there's some gorgeous artwork and there's obvious passion in every fucking piece. Um, but yeah, I guess that's the best I could say is it's not an entertaining comic book, but it's a very cool experiment as a creator to check out. So check it out. Find it in your dollar bin. That's kind of how I got it. I bought a $15 random assortment of indie books on eBay. You can actually see the opening where I picked out some of these issues in the IronVerse Quickies. It's a search for IronVerse Quickies. It's also a mail day. And you can see other books I'm hoping to get to. I'll do something more specific with each when I do the Quickie on this, but that kind of covers it, honestly. It's a cool curiosity with two stories that I enjoyed. One, which I enjoyed from a creator perspective, and it's nice to see the idea back out there. And then the other I enjoyed for the artistry and passion put into it. Two, I enjoyed the thematics, but I didn't think the execution was that good. And two of them which are relatively forgetful except for the wonderful art. All of them have wonderful art. There's not a miss in the art department, but all the writing basically is a miss because of the thematic and the shtick they were going for. But having that lyric thing really forced disconnect between the art and the writing. It really bothered me. I think you could rewrite all of these stories into actual stories with actual writing, and you'd have more compelling comics instead of pigeonholing this song lyric thing into it. But it was neat. It was neat. So yeah, it's the first Blacklight District 6 issues. Well, welcome, Dollar Coins. Thank you for stopping by. And yes, hot doggo is hot. It's a little toasty, and neither of us slept that well. So I'm glad she joins us and is just napping over there and cooling off. It's not like unbearably hot in here, but it's about time to put on the air conditioner. We've been getting nice rain here and there in the afternoons, and so that's been keeping it nice and cool at night. But during the day, it hasn't been that great. Well, she's dreaming away. The involuntary body movements are going there. She's breathing a little heavier too. Hey, Lita, you having a dream, kiddo? Hey, hi, Lita. There she is. There she is. It's all right, kid. Hi. There you go. There you go. It didn't look like a pleasant dream. You can go back to sleep, kiddo. I just wanted to make sure you weren't going to start. Yeah, see, the brain breathing got more relaxed. Um, it's not too hard to tell when animals are having nightmares if you're paying attention. Um, I don't know if that was a nightmare, but it was very stressful, breathing really heavy, and how I touched her foot if you watched, and twitchy, poor thing. Anyway, I guess we can jump to these because the rest is digital, and there's one long piece that was about 120 pages, one long, a graphic novel that just got in that I'm super excited to talk about because it's one of my favorite creators and biggest inspirations in the medium. But and then the rest is more Hajime no Ippo. I've been reading more of that. Kind of catching up to where I was in the anime, but I'm not there yet. In fact, I'm just leading up to Ippo's debut match with the arrogant kid who, girlfriend is gonna leave him because her dad's the trainer and he's arrogant and that's made him complacent and lazy and they all know he could do better and he's choosing not to. Um, I appreciate that sentiment. We'll talk a little bit more about that when I get to the digital. But let's talk about another huge inspiration for me as a creator that we talk about every What You Reading. I was lucky to find a couple listings. So Gru, as I've been looking, I was hoping you can find them in the dollar bin, that kind of thing. From what I can tell, that is not going to be as common as I wish it was, um, because I've had to look to fill gaps in my collection of at least the Marvel Epic run of Gru, the longer run. And man, you're lucky if you can find them for $2 an issue. But if you're looking for like a very specific single issue, they're about 750 to like $20 an issue, and that's goddamn. So I'm not doing that. I'm definitely doing collection. So I'm ending up with a lot of doubles too. And I'm trying to think maybe I'll start since this is What You're Reading 10. Maybe I'll start doing giveaways. I got tons of Gemini mailers just sitting in there, right, that I can reuse, and I'd love to give away a book every stream. That would be cool. At least a book, maybe a set of issues of doubles I have and such. Um, but we're going back. So I did get some more Gru in. About 20 issues I didn't have. And so we're going back a little bit. I think it might have been What You're Reading 6. I talked about the issue that precedes this one. I'll show you the cover there. Um, this is issue 34. It follows issue 33, which I did talk about a while back, where the two witches have lost their powers. They're kind of returning characters in Gru. Um, and so they were having Gru get a hold of a piece of an amulet um, for their wizard master, so their warlock wizard master will return their powers, right? Um, they didn't specify that Gru needed both pieces of an amulet. They gave him one of the pieces, or he got a hold of it. I don't remember exactly how that happened, but he ended up tossing the second piece because he thought it was worthless compared to the piece he was told to go get. In this, we deal with that. The wizard finally gets that other piece, but now he's where he begun, and so the witches, of course, don't get their powers from him because the guy's not any better off than he was before, and he's really pissed because he's missing his original piece. And so this is forcing Gru to go. He tossed it in a lake, and so they have to talk to Gru and figure out. They don't know what happened to it. So Gru remembers. They turn Gru into a fish. Gru goes and gets the amulet, brings it back, and his buddy the Sage, definitely one of the most recurring characters in the book. One of his two really good friends on the, and by really good friends I mean they tolerate him and they continuously show up. Gru doesn't have any real friends besides Referto, his little dog buddy. But I don't remember if it's this issue. I think this issue they do get the amulet back to the wizard, and then the sage is smart enough to get the amulet from the wizard because it's an evil dude. It's an evil. Now it's an evil wizard. And he sends him away, and it ends with, yeah, the wizard defeated, and the sage with this amulet. And so this amulet is all powerful. It's very much a infinity gauntlet kind of power, right? Anything you wish, you can manifest. And that's where it ends with the sage in possession of that. It's a good issue. It's a good issue. As a standalone, I don't know. Like, I'm so glad I read the issue before. Gru turning into a fish has some funny bits to it. He thinks he's going to drown as a fish, and then he remembers or figures out he can breathe, right? And then later he's turned into a man while still underwater, and he thinks he can breathe as a fish. Even though he's a man, there's some good gags in it, right? Um, but again, I don't remember any super standout hilarious moments, and this is another one where if you picked it up by itself, there's good bits, but there's not too much layers in it. It's not as self-contained as some of them. And yeah, again, I can't not. I've never had a bad issue of Guru. Um, the paneling's always good. There's usually a gag or two that lands, and it's very much worth the dollar they were charging back when. Is it worth what collectors are charging now, even for just reader copies? I don't know, but it's definitely worth a dollar. It hits where it's supposed to. And then we have number 35. Shows a cast, basically all the recurring cast that has shown up, including Sergio and the rest of the team. The Usagi Yojimbo creator, the editor, all of them. In fact, they're right there with Sergio popping out under there, moving the logo out of the way so you can see his face with his pen dripping. Um, so the sage is dreaming of power, and he keeps thinking like, well, how can I use this? And eventually, Referto thinks that, that's Gru's amulet. Gru did all the work to earn it, right? So it should be Gru's. So Referto's kind of looking into the bag, and he's going to get it for Gru. And he's like, well, I wish it was in Gru's bag while he's holding it. And then it poofs into Gru's bag. And then throughout the bit, the gag throughout this whole issue is Gru has this amulet in his possession and keeps wishing for things and they keep happening. And he doesn't know why and he thinks it's fucking crazy. And so he wishes the sage earlier said, "Oh, I'm going to be on top of the world." So he wishes the sage was on top of the world. So he keeps ending up on a mountain and freezing with his dog. And then being wished back. And then being wished back and forth, back and forth. It's like, look, sage, look how I can do. And he keeps wishing him back and forth. There's a lot of that. And he keeps causing trouble. His minstrel buddy is about to be knighted or something, and he's poofed out of there, and then poofed back, and it's like, you disappeared during the royal ceremony. We're gonna behead you now, and then back and forth, back and forth. A lot of that. His kind of rival warlord guy who's after the Referto to get the collar, to get the dog back home, and to get the collar back to the king who owned the dog. He gets poofed back and forth. Basically everybody. His hero friend who's about to slay a dragon. The witches. They're with another Gravito, I think they call him, another wizard. They're trying to get their powers from a different wizard, and he's about to do it, and then they poof away and then poof him back. It's like, oh, well, you had your power, so he turns them into pigs. For insulting him and trying to get more power, even though they don't have any power, but he thinks they do. A lot of good gags with this disappearing thing, and Gru just not realizing he's got this huge amount of power, and then like reveling in it when he realizes, oh, look, all this stuff can happen. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. I don't remember. I think they end up destroying the amulet by the end of it. What was the moral of it? Moral: wish is only as good as the wisher and what he can achieve. That's it. It ends with him wishing for a bunch of cheese dip, and then all of his sister and all the recurring cast get covered in a ton of cheese dip. After they're terrified of him because he's all powerful. A lot of ploofs. Yeah. Throughout the whole issue, the poor sage keeps getting teleported to the top of the world and then back, so he keeps getting frozen. This one was pretty funny. I liked this one quite a bit. It's one of the more standout issues. That bit is really written well. And just how happy Gru is throughout all of this, because he's got all this power and all his dreams are coming true, but his friends are just being wrecked because of it. It's great, man. Excited to continue reading, and hopefully I've got out of the 20 more issues I got, about 15 of them were not doubles. So I've got a few more to read, which is nice. And I'll keep at it. Hopefully, I can continue to have at least one Gru issue every episode. Again, I really freaking enjoy this series. It's a good uplift, and it's the definition of a funny book for me. I don't think there's another comic I've ever read that fits that definition as well. Let's see. Yep. Coins. You've been watching Bleach lately. You forgot how amazing the series was, the first 56 episodes. I'm not surprised. I've heard a lot of people really love it. I started it. It never hooked me. Like One Piece hooked me, and then sadly it just eventually became not too much. Like I got like 530 episodes in or something. It just became something that I don't jump right into again. I really should though. I really enjoy One Piece. Um, Full Metal Alchemist, I've watched both of those. That one hooks and then keeps with me. I really want to get the manga. Um, but that's a $200 investment I just don't have. But Bleach, I've heard. I mean, it was legendary. It was legendary. It still is, but I know that it's also legendary because of what it became and how sharply it struck some of the fans, right? And I don't know. I can't say if that was a quality thing or if that was a story direction they didn't like. But yeah, I kind of like Bleach. It reminds me a lot of Yu Yu Hakusho in like setup, right? But I couldn't finish Yu Yu either. Bleach just didn't hit me like that. But I know those series are super legendary for a reason. Yu Yu, I finished the whole like demon tournament arc, and then after that, I just kind of I didn't continue. Um, but yeah, next up we'll talk about Ippo. We'll talk about Ippo. I'll do what I can to show some Ippo digitally. I have no idea how that'll work on here. I could bring up the the files on the PC, but that would be a bit of a nightmare. I'm on round 19, so I'm only 20 chapters in. I'm not very far into it. There's like 1,500 fucking chapters of EPO. What does that mean? I'm almost a hundredth of the way through EPO, just over a hundredth. I'm excited to see how. I mean, to stick that long, it's got to have amazing arcs, and this is a really fun series from how it's drawn and the pacing and ah, great fucking series. The inking, the artistry is just beautiful. Yeah, it kind of shows up. It kind of shows. It's a little blurred out there if I have it by itself. So if I put it into the light, you can kind of see it. So it's not that great. But the chapters I've been reading, I love the anime. The anime actually delivered on the idea that out of these, I guess 4 chapters I've read recently. Um, where so Ippo's disheartened because his main rival he beat his main rival, and so his to stay Ippo's rival, the rival leaves the gym and goes to another gym so that they can continue to fight officially, right? And that was kind of a big inspiration for Ippo, and he kind of loses heart because he ran one of his few friends. He's not a guy who has a lot of friends. Out, he ran him out of a gym. Um, because it was the shame, partially because of the shame, but also because the rival wants to be able to keep up with him, right? So he's losing a little bit of heart. He's lost some of the hunger he had before he defeated his rival that first time, and what the head coach, I'm going to call him, the owner of the gym, I believe, the old man as they call him in this, does is he pairs him with the guy who discovered Ippo, with Takamura-san, and the anime spent a little bit more time on the diet that Takamura has to go on, and that's the thing that resonates with Ippo, right? Takamura makes it look easy. He's so tough and so strong and so dedicated, right? Um, and those couple chapters are about this professional explaining why he does what he does, and in subtle manners, not like ham-fisted a fucking list. No, he's like, well, I was a rough and tumble guy, and the old man found me, and I found purpose in the ring. I was accepted by the people. I actually could channel what I was into something positive, and how important that was to him, and that's why he does that. So it says that first, but then you still kind of, if you hadn't seen it or read it, you still kind like past that part. You still kind of think, well, yeah, that's cool, that makes sense, but it's not. It really underscores it when it gets to the diet part. He invites Ippo over to eat. Again, Ippo shadowing this guy to kind of get an idea of what being a professional boxer's like, and they share dinner. And fucking Takamura gets to have a tomato, while Ippo is eating, cup noodles, ramen, something simple. But later that night, as Ippo's sleeping over, Takamura goes through horrendous hunger pains. In the manga, it just shows him taping a pillow and putting pressure on his stomach just so that it's a little bit better. The night's a little bit more bearable. In the anime, it shows him going to the fridge and fighting the urge to eat something because of how painful it is, and it puts a little bit more drama. The anime put a little bit more drama and a little bit more time into communicating that suffering for your art, kind of idea and inspiration, right? And Ippo kind of, it spends a little bit more time with Ippo recognizing that. So I think that's one of the few times the anime handled an idea a little bit better than the manga, but both handle the idea beautifully. It's Ippo is a magical expression of mentorship in artistry, and I don't think I've read anything with a better example of mentorship in it. It's just incredible. Super respectful, super honorable, super inspiring. Um, I want to keep reading Ippo. Hopefully, I can catch up one day, right? That would be cool. I'd like to catch up because the character's endearing, and you can feel a little bit of that Japanese kind of propaganda bit to it a little. And it's not ham-fisted at all. It's just in the archetypes, just in the characters that they choose and how they choose to represent them. But like not even close to that. Was it, that Osamu, Tezuka Osamu uh, manga, man. That one's nothing but Japanese. Well, it's not nothing but Japanese propaganda, but super ham-fisted. This is it's playful enough that you can forget about it. You can forget about the archetypes and the ideas that they're trying to push, because the stronger ideals, the universal ones, are just so much more resonant, so much more forward than the rest of it. The rest of it's just kind of background, and it's good stuff. Definitely recommend it. Anime goes up to halfway of the manga. Interesting. You've read up to 900 years ago. Wow. There's a crazier diet later on that I'm not surprised. Takemura's got to keep getting stronger too, and so it makes sense that there's some crazier other water weight kind of fucking thing. Like the guy couldn't even fucking shower because it would add to his weight. It's just oh man, the dedication, putting yourself and your body through that, insane. Okay, so this next one really kind of important to me. This one we're actually going to look at through here because if I try and show you, like I showed you just the cover around 19, which is the debut match for Ippo, it wouldn't do it the justice I want to give it. So let's go through this. Really, really respect this creator. And Bone, the original work that I've read from him, not only the story of how it got made and published and all of that, super inspiring, but the story is beautiful. It's this cartoony Lord of the Rings with depth and heart and a huge amount of just great comedy, great character designs, clear paneling, very skilled storyteller. Jeff Smith is. So let's go ahead and look at his latest work. This is hot off the presses. Literally was delivered to backers digitally Monday, I want to say. What's today? Today's Thursday. Tuesday. It was delivered to backers Tuesday because I read it yesterday. So this is Tuki, Fight for Fire. Tuki was originally published as a web comic a while back. I think sometime in the 2010s, and this was him trying to make it more of the format he's familiar with. This was Jeff Smith's first attempt at crowdfunding. Went really well. I'm so glad about that. Um, it follows the different roots of man about 2 million years ago. Um, and it has his trademark style of storytelling to it. Uh, and it's hard. It's a hard kind of storytelling to put your finger on, but it's so clear. Um, when you're reading, clarity is one of them. The paneling is amazing. Big fan of the artwork. So we're not going to scroll through all of it, but I'll give you an idea. Talks about how much kind of research he did to put into it. So whether or not you believe the science, it is based in that science, which is nice. Um, so there's about it plays off about the six branches of humanity that existed at that time, which is kind of neat. Um, I say branches of humanity. Most of these failed. Most of these did not become man. Um, most of these just. But yeah, Homo erectus. We follow Tukey, who is a Homo erectus. It's called Fight for Fire because he is one of the first people to understand and utilize fire, and quote unquote people again. So this treats all of these species as family, but focuses on the difference of cultures and it's got this wonderful magic to it. And his artistry is just always great. It starts off with these kids and their family kind of worried about an older branch of humanity that's figured out, cutting tools and such, but it's very territorial, extremely territorial branch. And these are Homo erectus. These are actual, uh, our family. But this other branch isn't, but they're super territorial, right? Kind of the Far Cry Primal, if you've ever played that. It's that dynamic where you're playing closer to the Homo erectus and you're fighting things closer to Neanderthals. It's kind of that. It's got this playful, cartoony bit, as Jeff Smith's work always does, but it's very pretty, clearly inked. When you see his work inked, it's very clearly Jeff Smith work. Um, I was impressed too. He took the time to which a lot of Western works don't do, but graphic novels are working towards, and manga has pretty much always done. Setup and mood right here. Setting up. First time you see Tukey, you see his hand, right? Well, you see a stick get in front of it, and then he's taking. I kept thinking these are rocks. So that was something that was not so clear until you read the back where he talks about it's an ancient form of orange that actually still exists now because we never cultivated it. I forgot. It's called like a monkey orange, I think is what it's called. And we never cultivated it, so the fruit that we have now from those trees is about the same fruit that would have been 2 million years ago, which is kind of neat. It's one of those little bits of research that I really appreciate he put into it. Um, but yeah, it's him traveling, and then if you finally meet him, spends his time trying to eat, loses his fruit. Again, I think this is a rock. It's not defined well enough. It just looks like a spherical rock, but he's trying to eat it. So I was like, well, what is it? A coconut? What the fuck is it? It's hard to define an orange in black and white, right? It's just a sphere. He did do a texturing on it or whatever, but yeah. So I mean, he spends the first what? Fucking. So we're on page 25. Spends like the first 15 pages just setting up mood and introducing you to the character with no dialogue, pretty much. The beginning introduces you to another part of the story, which they do connect eventually. You follow those kids for a reason. You know that they're leaving their family and their camp to look for another sister who had left. And then you follow Tukey for a while, and eventually those two stories meet. Uh, I really love this story. Tukey's great. It has shamanistic implications in it with this other guy who they call Doc, who's part of that tribe that scared off the family at the beginning. Who they were yelling at the fire, and then the kids leave. Um, Layers upon layers. That's what I love about Jeff Smith's work. And usually characters are archetypes and symbolism. That's paying homage to the entire thematics of the full story. So I'm really excited for book two. This is obviously sets up book two. The ending sets up another antagonist. Um, this has plenty. It has good action in it. He defeats a demon gorilla at one point, and I say gorilla. It's a Gigantopithecus. It's a fucking, I think, 12 to 15 foot gorilla. Not a normal gorilla. Um, and then it also shows the oh god, what are those little ones called? An Anthropithecus, Pithecus, the oldest root that we've found of mankind. This little monkey dude, and it's that's when the Jeff Smith cartooning really comes in, is with that little dude because he eats the whole demon gorilla just in one bite, like a fucking like a swarm of piranhas, but it's just one little dude and he spins around him, eats him. Fucking great. And they were terrified. I mean, it's his humor is on point. His storytelling, every beat has heart in it. Um, Definitely dedicated to his craft. I'm so glad this did so well. Um, I won't get the physicals till October, and I don't think we get book two digitally till like late September, so I don't get to read more yet. I'm hoping it has a slightly conclusive arc. Bone was 9 volumes to finish it, and I mean relatively thick fucking volumes. So if Tukey's doing that, great. I would love more Tukey. It's really well done. I already love the characters involved, and I'm curious what he's going to do with them because he's not taking a. There's a slightly more adult tone than Bone, but really it's the same tone because Bone had love, loss, death, betrayal, um, complicated adult themes, and it always presented them again with heart and care. And this is doing that as well, which makes it an all ages book to me.
That's why I can enjoy it so well, and I think you could read this with your kids, probably 5 to 12, 13, and get a real good resonance for everybody involved in the reading. Um, uh, I'm gonna have to read it again. It's one of those that I read very quickly, but again, the art style is just incredible. Some fun stuff. Definitely some fun stuff. Finally find his orange. Oh no, that's the water. These little fuckers who are watching him. Yeah, it's his first liner. What are you looking at? These little eyes in the forest that then disappear. I love his freaking inks, man. Um, anyway, um, yeah, it's very slow and steady. It's a lot of build up. It's a lot of spending time with the character. Again, 29 pages in, he said one thing, and it kind of set up that he's being stalked by these little fuckers. And there we go. Here's Doc, one of the other branches, right? Who's like, "You're in our territory. You're gonna get in trouble." He sprays him with some psilocybin mushroom fucking powder, some kind of psychedelic, so that they can talk. And then, so you think he's just saying most of the time, and then he gets him with his fucking there it is. Yeah, he gets him with his fucking hallucinogen, and then they end up talking. Like that face is fucking great. He really wanted him to feel like the crazy shaman mystic, and I love that archetype. We have that in IronVerse Comics. I introduced it in issue number 2. Mine's a little bit more stuck up, a little bit more serious. This guy's a fucking monkey, and they want to have that ape, gorilla, primate kind of enthusiasm and silliness to it. So I'm glad he did that. It makes the character unique, where he's this pseudo spiritual leader who's got like his magic very well set up in his head, how it works, how the mechanics work, and what needs to be done, but is willing to learn. And that was crazy because he this whole setup with this guy is him warning like, "You're in the wrong place. You shouldn't be here, Giant Slayer. You if you go past this point, you're going to be in trouble. The hidden world has told me. I've communed with the spirits, and it's told me that this is trouble." But he doesn't let that hold him back for joining in Tuki's journey later, which is really cool. Um, Tuki saving the kids, really cool. Right away, he sees how they join with the kids later. The first story that's kind of set up at the beginning with those first 3 or 4 pages. Uh, uh, he finds the kids' tracks. He wasn't supposed to go past the 3 waterfalls. That's explained in this encounter, and eventually he gets to a point where he's passing 3 waterfalls, and he sees a child's footprint. He's like, "Huh, I wonder why you're all alone. There's no adult prints here." And then he sees a saber cat's footprint. He's like, "Oh God, I'm gonna go see," because Tuki's a good person. It sets the characterization. I think that's probably Jeff Smith's strongest fucking storytelling bit is characterization, and he does it through the story. You're not told who these characters are, you are absolutely shown. And so the communication of the characterization is very clean, honest, and respectful. um, really love his work. I can sing the praises of it again and again. This really set up something really cool, and I'm excited for book 2. I'm hoping book 2 at least concludes an arc, right? Um, Gives you some kind of satisfaction, and then if he wants to do more, I hope he does more. I think this is a great fucking setup. I actually like the thematics in it a bit more than Bone. I was never a big fan of the Bone Brothers design. I understood what he was doing. He was really trying to tear down uh, characters into icons. So he made them as simple and as recognizable as quote unquote people as possible. Um, but so it would allow the characterization to really sink in from the 3 Bone Brothers. Um, there's a lot to that story. So Tuki kind of like his design and his artistry kind of reminds me of the Red Dragon in Bone. The Red Dragon was this guardian who would show up and was protecting. God, there's a lot of spoilers. I don't think I want to actually. Yeah, I can't talk too much about the Red Dragon if you haven't read Bone, because it spoils a little bit of the story. Um, he's really good at reveals. He's really good at satisfying reveals too. And some of them you should see a mile away. And he's pretty good at making sure you have a chance to see them a mile away, but it's not gonna ruin the surprise, right? He doesn't just throw this left curve at you and said, "Ha, see, you didn't see that coming." No, he's like, "You could have seen it coming." That's the right way to go about reveals in most cases. Very skilled storyteller. And again, whether or not you're into the scientific bit that he tried to put into this, I think it helped give it a grounding and a structure that he needed. Just kind of like I can guarantee he used Lord of the Rings as kind of a feeling to ground his world in bone. Right. So from that perspective, trying to get a structure together, just incredible, and it was really well done. I think he also probably has an interest in this the ancient ways, right? The faces are always communicative, but you fight giants. This I know about you. Eventually, there's a shamanic journey that happens here. Again, I don't want to show too much, but the art style is great. Looks like Dollar drew it. Yeah, I kind of get that feeling too. It's got that oh, what do you say? Yeah. Dalo puts a grounding again, I'm gonna say, to it. The line work has that earthy kind of feel to it. Again, it's the best I can say to it. Jeff's a bit more cartoony, right? But it can get grounded like this, just like Maxi can do. Um, and this plot is only dangled, and I wanna see what this motherhood of all buffalo. I can almost guarantee it's gonna show up, and I can't wait to see that. This concept of an original spawn of all this life, and that if you can find it, it will help not only keep you alive as a hunter gatherer, right, but help return life, return the food because things are getting bad. That's what they talk about here. A lot of this is set up for the world. Talking with this shaman, two worlds meeting, so you get a better perspective of the entirety, right? Uh, I did that in issue 2 of Jack as well. Two worlds meeting, so that you get an entirety. In fact, the entire setup of Jack is that the reader's world meeting Jack's world, right? This is the Doc's world meeting with Tuki's world. Very cool, very cool. Honestly, I can't recommend this enough. Since it was through Kickstarter, you cannot get a hold of it just yet. I think after he delivers the book one and book two, then it'll probably go public. Cartoon Books just had its his publishing imprint, his IronVerse Comics, uh, just went through their 30th anniversary. He's doing, in fact, I think that's today, and he's doing a live stream today if folks are interested. I think in like an hour or two, drawing and inking book two of Tuki. I don't think I'll be able to stop by, sadly, but you folks should check it out. Again, Jeff Smith, really cool dude too. He was one of the 3 pros I was able to get to retweet our hardcover Kickstarter. Very nice of him. And I like to believe you can tell a lot about the artist from the art they choose to do. Um, because it takes so much passion and so much strength, especially if it's a good piece of art. Um, like Guru, like Hajime no Ippo, there's a communication to something deep about that person that just cannot be removed from the work, and it wouldn't be the work without that. And so, in fact, all the reads that we've talked about today, except for this, have that. Has it in its core, and that's what always attracts me to a read. Full Metal Alchemist has that at its heart. Alita Battle Angel has that as heart. In fact, if Alita didn't, Mars Chronicle would have crumbled for me already, and I don't think I would have gotten through Last Order. Right? There's a core from the creator that resonates with me very well, and can sometimes allow them to take journeys that you might not stick with otherwise. But that's what I've been reading, right? Let me see. Um, New Ironverse artist to hire for future. Oh man, if we could get a Jeff Smith cover, even. Oh, Oh man. uh, it would be so dope. But it's one of those situations like a lot of very independent artists these days. They are their work, right? I've seen. I think the only thing really outside of cartoon books that Jeff Smith has done is uh, Captain Marvel. Um, I think it was actually called Shazam at that point. Shazam Monster Society of Evil. My favorite fucking. There's a lot of really good Captain Marvel stories, but DC Captain Marvel, so Shazam now, I guess. But I think even then it was called Shazam Monster Society of Evil, even though the character at that point was still called Captain Marvel. Fucking confusing Western comics, but uh, I only had, I don't think I do anymore. I had books 2 through 4, so I didn't get to start the story, but I got to read most of it, 3/4 of it, and finish it. Really good, of course it was. But so anyway, it's very rare, and I don't know if that's because of how he broke into the industry, which is kind of how a lot of us are breaking into the industry these days by just fucking doing the work, regardless of what the industry itself, the hoops they want us to go through, right? I don't know if that's part why he hasn't done much other work, or if it's because there's just not enough fucking time, and so you do your work, right? But maybe someday I would love to. There's nothing stopping me from reaching out one of these days and seeing, hey, you got time for like the line art of a cover? How much would that be? Kind of deal. Um, It's one of those things though, you got to get them to work first maybe. I don't know. But that would be a dream come true. One of the very few talents that would just blow me away. Liam Sharp's another one. I would love to have a cover by Liam Sharp. But they're all like Liam Sharp's finally realizing um, that the industry gigs are great. You have the talent to hold up on it. You have the ability to do a bunch of really cool issues for them, and it gets you the exposure, and you get their backbone for pushing the work, right? But he saw with his Kickstarter, he's like, oh wow, I can do a lot better on my own. So I'm excited to see his future as well. And again, this was the first crowdfunded effort from Jeff Smith, so I'm so glad it was so successful. So I'm hoping that spawns more, because they were quiet there for God a decade. Cartoon books was pretty quiet. Um, I know there's a Bone animated series coming out too, so I'm hoping that goes well, because it certainly is a story and a tale that could fit very well into that medium if it's done well. I know there was a Telltale game way back when Telltale Games was barely even fucking known. That was a Bone game, and that's hard to get a hold of these days. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. It's definitely an idea I'm keeping in mind. That's what I've been reading. Tukey was my favorite, of course. Gru second favorite. Gru and Hajime no Ippo. It's pretty tough there for different reasons, right? Gru is a breath of fresh air, some funny, and I know what to expect. Hajime is inspiration, and I'm falling in love with the artistry in Hajime too. The little character models that he'll do panels that have these tiny little almost chibi characters before chibi were a thing, right? That would grow to how he expresses mood and ideas and facial expressions. Um, Fucking great, incredible stuff. Um, and 6 issues. I'm hoping to get a quickie out of that today. um, to explain a little bit more in depth, and then per each of the 6 issues, right? Talk about that. The song lyrics shtick is why it exists, but it's also why it's not as good as it could have been. As an anthology with the same exact fucking art, but actual stories being told through the words, would have been a fun issue. Would have been a fun little self-contained tiny anthology. In this case, it's kind of the redundance and seeing the same word. It doesn't. like if it was poetry, if it had rhythm and rhyme to it, maybe, but it doesn't even have that, right? It's more the lyric wasn't as good as it could be. And I think the idea was what mainly held it back. But I could be wrong, and I'm still very glad that the artistry exists. I think it was very well curated. I think the artists were chosen very well. I think even the writers were chosen well. It was just the idea. The idea wasn't that great. But, this is 2016, so it's an older comic as well. And I'm glad it exists. I'm glad every comic exists. But, yeah, not the best read I've read. But at least it was a random read. I wanted to pick up a random issue of something, and I could get through that, right? There's some books I've picked up lately that I thought I would really like, that are like, single issues or the start of the series that I'd like to talk about here or talk about on IronVerse Quickies that I couldn't get through. And that's always heartbreaking, right? There's never been a Gru issue I couldn't get through. I was excited to finish the tale that's told in it every time. Hajime no Ippo, every round, I'm super excited to finish it. I don't stop partway through. Um, and then Tukey, I just read fucking straight through. It was so good. So I definitely, I would recommend everything I talked about today. But if you get this in a dollar bin and you have a dollar, there's posters in here too. And again, the artistry's on point, so it's worth picking up even just to pull the poster out of the issue, right? Um, it's a double-sided poster, and you can actually, I think it's in the center, so you can undo the staples easy, pull out the poster, and then replace the staples. Smartly designed, smartly designed. Um, Good editor on it, I think. Big help. But that's about it on what I've read. If anybody else is here, as always, comment what you've been reading, please. I appreciate knowing. And in the comments below later, if somehow somebody watches this on replay, pretty rare for these live streams, but I still really appreciate it. And I think it does happen here and there. Comments are always open too. I need to know what you're reading, especially if it's something that resonates with you, because there's a good chance it will for me too. And if I have it or can get a hold of it, I want to read it too. So I guess we can move on from the what you're reading part. This is the other chatting part now. So that's where we are. A lot of things. A lot of things. What do I want to talk about first? Second round of metal cards out yesterday. Bigger round. So I'm hopeful that they'll all reach you folks as it's going. Sent out about 60 yesterday. Um, I sent out the original group, I think, last week, and it was of 30, and I had one sent back because either how I had taped it didn't allow it to go through the machine or something. Um, so I got that sussed out, I hope. And hopefully I won't get any sent back to me this go, but I might too, so we'll see. I hope every time I do that, I'm terribly afraid I'm going to get like a stack of them back, because I've never mailed things before. But 1 out of 30 last week, that's not bad. And I sent it out again today, or yesterday, so hopefully that one will clear this time. Been seeing them reach people too, which is really cool. I can share that real quick. Let's go over here and bookmarks. I don't think this will spoil anything. Yeah, no, it's just my profile. So there's that. The card's arriving. Super excited. Here's another one as soon as it wants to load the images. It's kind of a trip because when you hand sign that much stuff, you've seen the same thing like over and over again, right? So it's neat to see that where it's supposed to be. Super neat. I really appreciate folks sharing those images. Um, so it means a lot too that they're actually getting to where they're supposed to go successfully and safely. 1 in 30 at least did not, but 29 out of 30. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I'm hopeful that it'll be maybe 48, maybe 58 out of 60 this next go, maybe. I hope that's the worst. I'm terrified every time I put those in the mailbox, folks. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm glad my shipping method is okay. So, all right. So that's that. I'm happy that the cards are arriving. Wicked sent out the last of the books, I believe, Sunday. That's international. That's the store bundles. That should be the steals as well. I'll check in. Again, I haven't didn't get that directly confirmed, but I did get the store bundles directly confirmed and the international directly confirmed. So every book except for up to 7 of them has been sent out. Um, so yes, we're about done with issue number three's fucking campaign, and I'm so excited that the patient and supportive backers finally have what they ordered. Long overdue, and just that campaign was a struggle every inch, and means we learned a lot. But I'm hopeful not to ever have to repeat it. I'm gonna tell you that for issue 4 coming up soon enough. Gonna have shit together. I'm thinking we're gonna have 2 extras on the issue 4 campaign. I want to do a new pinup and I want to do a new metal card, but that's it. And that's going to be included with the standard order. It's not going to be an add-on or any other junk like that, and it's just going to be issue number 4. Because hopefully we'll have issues 1 through 3 available publicly. So I'll just put a link, and if you want issues 1 through 3, you can just go fucking order it for way cheaper. I might still try and get rid of the excess of the misprints that we have, since we have about 1,500 issues, right? Through that campaign again for really cheap, reader copy prices. But that's a maybe. That's a maybe. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But those are the 2 new things I want to do. I want 1 new pinup so I can kind of retire the other ones, which were used for 2 campaigns already. Except for the Illustrator Monk one, that was only used for 1 campaign, and people continuously want it as a poster. So I think that'll go up on our store. But I want to do a new metal card. The reception in the metal cards has been way better than I thought it would be, because it was the price that it works out to per card and how excited people are to get them. Fucking great profit on excitement and enjoyment as far as I can tell. So I think that's worth the time, and that just means 2 new images, right? 1 for the pinup and 1 for the card. I'd like to get Illustrator Monk to do just another Jackie Irons for the next card, and we'll just do that again and kind of have her be the cards each campaign. That's my thinking. I got the rest of this month and a chunk of next month to figure that out. Hopefully we start art with Maxie next month. I'm so hopeful. I tried to make sure that he knows we're going to start, and he's acknowledged he should have time, all that good stuff. I'm very hopeful it works out. With Maxie, it doesn't always, he's an in-demand, very, very cool talent, right? So it doesn't always hit. In fact, our last Kickstarter was a big one. I only needed one fucking image from him, and didn't happen. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, and I think he understands the circumstances a bit better this go. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, Otherwise, I did a massive, since I last saw you folks, overhaul on IronVerseComics.com. So some of you folks may have seen the stream where I was adding the fan art gallery. So you have an idea there. Uh, but I've reworked it. So this is Wicked Comics, just so it takes you to their site. You got an idea what's going on there. The merch is normal. This, I made sure you know where you're going at least and what title you're looking at. This I added. Besides the fan art gallery, which was the only thing here, we have news and updates, which I need to do another update. Um, yeah, there's another card that landed too. Uh, but that kind of thing. But this was cool. I was able to add comments to the site. I was super stoked to find that. Um, so I'm hoping people will start using it, so I know it works, and so I can test curating it as well, right? Because there could be some problems with comments on the site, right? In terms of like what's commented. So I'm kind of curious on that. But every product should have a place where you can comment like this. It'll have a bar basically just like this, so you can talk about your purchase, right? Also, after you purchase something, it asks now for comments on like what you'd like more of, or what we did well, or what you'd like to see. So I'm hopefully our website is much more engaging. That was one of the main goals with this entire thing. I wanted our site to be someplace you want to go see. So our news and updates are here. I got to do another one. Dollar coins. I would love to add you to the store so that you can do updates. Because I also want to do a blog section where we can post short stories and stuff too, just so that there's more engagement, right? More reason to be on our site because our site is the hub for everything we're doing. Every link that you need for IronVerse Comics is right there. And so if I can get people to think of IronVerseComics.com instead of think of Twitter or thinking of our campaign pages, that would be excellent because I can also set up pre-orders through here and cut out Indiegogo if people were so inclined to help us there. We can do that. I can cut out those middlemen and work through Shopify instead. It's a different middleman, but the profit margin would be better, right? Um, I would love to do that, but you have to have faith in the site to do that. So, but I'd love to do that. I'd love to cut out the middleman, and there's a possibility there. A lot of possibilities. But anyway, here's news and updates. I need to. It's been about 5 days. It would be good. I'd like to do maybe a weekly update on here. Um, did the fan art. There's a new piece of fan art I'd love to show you from Bruce Patnod. I think part of the reason why he did this is to nudge me on something else he and I are working on, which isn't IronVerse Comics, but I am excited to work with Bruce. And he proposed it, and hopefully, if it sticks, we'll have something together for you folks. And with this way, it's a much more collaborative than what I was trying to do to work with him, which was work for hire, right? So it's more likely to manifest, I believe, quicker. So I'm excited for that. So I think this was to nudge me to respond to something. Bruce is cool like that. Um, that's still really cool. I love Bruce has done. So you look through this, the fan art thing. His name's going to show up again and again and again and again. He's done a whole bunch of different pieces, right? Um, you'll notice he is not afraid to do a different Jack face pretty much every time. I think that's really cool because part of Jack's characters, he's supposed to have that kind of free flowing existence, right? That reincarnation end where he can look, he has been everybody. So putting that in his face and having different versions of him, I think that's really cool. So anyway, that's the latest piece of fan art. I went and found this one in a folder I didn't have, or I don't usually look in. So I was glad to find this piece. I liked this piece and totally forgot about it. It hasn't been posted near anybody else, near anywhere else. This piece is in the same kind of category, right? I just found it again. I was really stoked. So I'm adding new fan art to the top as we get it, and you can go through, check it out. Uh, I'd like to take the time to turn all these names into links to your LinkedIn or your Twitter or wherever you'd like, your email. I'd love to do that, but I need the artist to contact me and let them know what you know what to put there. So that's what this part's about. If people do that, I'd love to turn these into links. But that's down the line. We'll figure that out. But again, you can comment. So let's go all the way. Comment here. If we get enough engagement through here, I will totally upgrade the site so that you can reply to comments as well. And so you can add usernames. You can go through Facebook if you want to follow the conversation. It also helps us collect emails for newsletters if you're interested on that. And yeah, so just look for those points on the site if you got something to say about the site. Anything, good, bad, whatever, I would like to see it. And then I did this too. So I want people to not have to go off-site to consume our content, right? So I figured out how to directly embed these because the Shopify way of presenting videos, which you can see on our homepage, it's a little indirect and it cuts things off. Pissed me off. So I found out how to directly embed the stuff to the website so you get full playlists and all of that. You look at our interviews, you could check out the quickies, you could check out my plays, check out the comic updates, which as soon as I add these to a playlist, it'll actually update these videos, which is excellent. You can watch other people's content here too, like the reviews and such. I link. And then this is the new category. Yep, that's today's piece. Oh no, that's not today's piece. That's August 1st piece. So you get to look through even these. So I have these scheduled one a day up to next month right now. It's interesting. It gets views, and at least it puts the channel back in the algorithm every day for a 45-second video that actually takes. It takes about 45 minutes to render one of these, enough that it's worth watching, right? But but again, it adds content, so I'm super excited to put that out there. It's interesting. Some of them look really cool. You can get vibes of the trigger words I put in there, the coding words, um, all that good stuff. And as it says here, if you actually create IronVerse Comics content, you review Jack Irons, you talk about what we're doing, send it to me. I would love to add it to a playlist and feature it here. And again, you can comment, let us know. But that was to make, again, I'm just trying to make all the content as accessible directly on the site as possible so that you're engaging with the site. That helps in a lot of ways, I think. And then I changed this from social media to contact. I got to figure out how to directly put the email here as well. Type an email and then you click it and it'll take it to take you to your email client, right? And then auto fill in ironversecomics@gmail.com. That would be my hope, but I have not figured that out yet. But otherwise, all of these are accurate, and should take you directly to where you want to go, as long as you know where you want to go out of these. Um, yeah, the comment section on the main page here. It, so these comment sections take, I don't know, between 1 and 10 seconds to actually load up on the page sometimes, so you might not find it. But I put it under this on the main page. I wanted to maybe put it up top, but that kind of ruins a bit of the aesthetic. I need to update this GIF, and I've tried a bunch of times because I wanted more art on it, right? Because we have a lot of new art here, and this actually includes some older art. But the GIF I have made right now, I guess, is too large for Shopify. So I have to find a way to decrease the GIF size and then put it up there. But I'll update that at some point. As an introduction here, this works fine. Anyway, the main point of this part of the stream is I'm ticking away at this website because our patrons pay for it every month, and it's not that cheap, and it is super important that it honors you folks. I think I talked about this last week, and I would love to do something better than just this little picture thing I took. I'll figure that out at some point. I tried to take a screenshot directly off of Patreon, and it actually got rid of all the symbols. And I think some of the symbols are really cool, and it helps, make it more eye-catching to whoever that symbol belongs to, right? That icon, that avatar belongs to. And to me, it makes it feel a little bit more personal and adds that little extra layer. But it's really wonky. It's really wonky. So I'm working on figuring that out. But I had to put the thank you. The fan art thing was, I've been wanting to do the fan art thing since we started getting fan art. And I sort of did it on our Discord. I made a section of it and I posted all the fan art, right? But this is much clearer. And I'm super excited to share it. And thank you, Mrs. H. I'm so glad you allow me to post your work on there. All you folks, very, 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 very kind. It's surprising. I think Jack Iron's hat in particular is canon in like 6 comics, which is really cool to me. And so that's this piece right here, as he lost his hat through a dimensional portal. But there's another comic where it was on a shelf in a hat store, right? There's been a lot of that stuff, and I really appreciate that. I don't know. Just a little bit of magic, and I appreciate you folks lending time to help us get anything done. It's the only reason our work exists at this point. That and Maxi's artistry, our team's artistry, and my stubbornness. I mean, I had to write it into the first issue just so I can't forget it, right? I did that with issue 2 as well. The first page, I wrote a prayer into the first issue, or into the first page of the second issue. I try and put things to keep my ass in the seat of the work, in the work, so I can't fucking forget it. Um, and it's nice to see those kind of messages, those ideas also manifest outside of the work, outside of my direct input. It's awesome. It's awesome. So just thank you, folks. Uh, I think that covers the website stuff. Hopefully next month, this right here will be repopulated with the correct issues. These right here are actually the updated, what they have the updated covers, the spelling errors, all that shit taken care of. Um, right now, I think we still have a few of the original public print run of issue 1. But hopefully these will be back in stock, and issue 3, our leftovers from this campaign, should go up here as well. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that. That should be next month along, so I'll be hyping that as I build the campaign for issue 4. Um, I'm excited for issue 4. I'm excited. It's my favorite script I've written, but that doesn't mean it's good. It just means I really like where it's going. Hopefully, other folks will too. But that should do it. That should cover everything to do with that. I don't want it to. I think if I close that, it'll go to the Shopify, and I don't know where that is in terms of. I can go here. In terms of doxing, I don't want to dox anybody. No. All right. I actually had some problems with the website. It sucks because I was putting so much work into it, right? Then my bank debit card was expiring, and last night I had a few drinks and decided, you know what? I finally got the new debit card in yesterday, so let's go ahead and update that. And I scared myself because I kept putting in the wrong date, I guess, and it wouldn't accept it. And I thought, oh shit, well now I got to go figure out another way to pay for this. And anyway, I solved it. Solved it this morning. Went right on through. Sometimes you're just not in the right mindset to do the work that you need to do. That's one of my biggest problems, in fact. But anywho, yeah, that covers the website stuff. Um, let me look here. Uh, talk about Coyote Spinaroonie arc. So, Dollar Coins, prolific writer. Huge inspiration for me on that front, and it's obvious why he's my co-editor. Um, co-EIC, really. Because he actually gets the work done as well. That's the big one. It's not all talk, and he threw his fucking hands in. He did fucking half IronVerse Comics currently. Um, the Spinaroonie arc. So oh God, I don't even know. You're gonna have to say in chat how many arcs you have because I can't pull it off the top of my head. Planned, but he's constantly reworking it to fit better and to tell everything better. Constant improvement. And so the original arc that we started off with was called the Slave World arc. Some people on our Patreon, in fact, can still find that, at least the storyboard for it, on Patreon. It's kind of far back. It's been a year or two. That was our original introductory arc. You had the original manga, which people can read as well, which had parts of that original storyboard in it, very small parts. Didn't have the main story of it like the storyboard did, the name did. But he's been rethinking pretty consistently how to introduce this character better and better, right? How to really make it land properly. And I think that's been super important because it has gotten better and better as it's gone on. So I'm super excited for the I don't want to say real debut, but for the tightened uh, debut. It's another debut. It's not. I'm not gonna say the real one because it's been debuted. But for the actual introductory, and it used to be called the Slave World arc. He goes to a famine slave world and snags something. That's what he does. He's a smuggler. He snags things and then gets them from one place to the other. Um, and a whole lot of cool stuff that he can do to make that happen. But he has now work the intro so that it introduces. So one of the things with Jack that I spent a good time of issue 2 and a good chunk of issue 3 introducing you to New Deadwood, and then I just fucking bail. End of issue 3, like you've got a footing in the world, and now I'm gonna take you to another world. I think what Dollar Coins is doing here is smart. What he's done, instead of doing what I kind of did, which is what he did in the slave world kind of bit, he's going back and he's going to spend some time in Spinaroonie Town. It's called Spinaroonie Arc, and it's going to introduce you to the main players of Spinaroonie, which that planetoid, I'm going to call it, is super important to Cactus Coyote's plot. Like, oh my God, is it central? The royal dynamics, how it's like another New Deadwood in terms of it's a neutral zone, right? It's a point where the Anu Confederation and outlaws of the galaxy and even some of the horseman elements can meet and exchange. It's a neutral zone. It's a DMZ, kind of. New Deadwood's kind of like that as well, except the horsemen aren't supposed to be able to get in and trade things. But as you see in issue 1, they get in if they need to. It's all facades. Um, but so it's going to deal with the mafias basically that run Spinaroonie Town, that allow it to exist, and that will introduce you not only to the galactic politics, which is super important to IronVerse Comics overall, the balance of the 4 pillars, and then the fifth awkward pillar, the Confederation, right, the pillar that shouldn't be. Um, It'll introduce you to also the outlaw dynamics of IronVerse Comics, which is kind of spoken of in Jack Irons, but Jack Irons is about 20 years before Cactus Coyote. So at least this original arc of Jack Irons Steel Cowboy is about 20 years before. So it's got slightly different dynamics. The galaxy has developed a little bit, only about 20 years and millennia, right, of existence. But it's developed. Things have changed. That's what makes all the characters in Ironverse Comics actually like important. Is that this is the era of change. It's new characters manifesting and actually changing these built-in dynamics that are ancient and not great. and so that's I'm super excited for that. I'm super excited for that. Um, the other thing Dollar Coins talked about, Girl Tracker. That's a great idea. Remind me if I forget, because I would love to see that. I think that might be a great freaking idea for the next metal card, um, or the next pinup, or both. That'd be very cool. 18 arcs would be 20. He's got 2 more in mind, but he's written or at least outlined all of them. Fucking crazy. So I don't know how far I've read up to script wise, but there's beats and moments that I cannot wait to see actually manifest in comic form. Dollar Coin's comedic gag timing with the character of Cactus is really great. The heart that he's put into it, um, it's got this goofy level to it, but it's super artful. Again, it's I really appreciate your writing, brother. Um, People complained that we left Spinaroonie too fast and wanted to hang out in Spinaroonie. That was it. Yep. And he had to get rid of the Dollar Coin trilogy. It was too boring. Will be reworked into a funner prequel. Right on. Right on. I get you. I get you. Um, it was a good idea though. Very good idea. So I'm excited to see what the rework is. That's something also that I really respect about his work is that he unlike me, he's willing to continuously refine and improve the work. Me, I get it done, and then as it's actually manifesting, I chisel away at it and make it the best I can. I can't. It's very rare that like I'll write a script and then completely rework it, or really rework huge sections of it. Some of that's probably arrogance. Some of that's probably laziness, but a lot of it is like I usually have said what I wanted to say. I usually don't need to change that much, and because there's this interplay with myself and Maxie, um, that helps shape it down the line, that if I spend too much time refining it, then I have to be super rigid with him as he's putting it out. And that could ruin the dynamic that's made what we put out already so good. But yeah, that's that end. I'm not sure when the Ashcan for Cactus Coyote is going to be done. Last I had heard, it was being lettered by our incredible Team IronVerse Comics letterer, Vince Rush. So I'm excited for that. It's another really good intro to Cactus Coyote in the more well, in a Western style comic format, so I'm excited for that. It looks really good. I love what Steve did on the colors. I love what Andrea did on the lines. And of course, what Dollar Coins did on the layouts. It flows well, it looks neat, and it gets you intrigued and invested in the characters. And so I think that might be something that really helps uh, gather a larger fan base for the Coyote there. Um, and helps connect it more to Jack. I think it'll help ground it in IronVerse Comics. So I've been pushing IronVerse Comics as a imprint so hard as well, so that when people think of the work we're doing, they don't just think of Jack. It's bigger than that. Jack is super important to it all, right? But it's not all the work we're doing. So that's why I've been working really hard to make sure that the imprint is understood as what it's intended. And I think it's hit. I think my persistence in branding has done its job. We just need to now spread out that content and actually manifest stuff to point people to. And then we'll have fans who find us from Cactus Coyote, fans who find us from Jack, fans who hopefully find us from Golden Monk. I was talking about the Bruce work I'm doing. I'm hoping I can leverage that into something else. We'll see. We'll see. Um, Future's bright. I'm excited. We're finally getting over some humps that are long overdue and moving forward. So I'm excited for our future. Very, very more excited. Vince told me the other day he begun lettering. Great. But we have 400 pages to make in color. That's true, right? We have 12 done or something, and you wanted to be 16, something like that. Um, so getting there. We ain't there, but getting there. Getting there. I'm excited for it. Once it's done, we'll have a definitive preview. I'm hoping, if the timing works out, I'd love to throw it in the back of issue number 4 as our bonus content. That would be the dream. So that way, it's literally directly connected to Jack Iron. So there's going to be no separation there, no running from it, right? No ignoring it, and hopefully that means it'll resonate because people will see the commonalities and the different dynamics and uh, see what we're doing. And it should fit very well because of the similar colorist. It shouldn't be like this drastic flip the page and it's something completely different, which I would have been fine with too, honestly. But I think that would be really cool. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. So much work to do, so little time, and so little funding. But you got to keep the grind up. Got to keep the grind up. But I think that covers the main updates. There's not much else to talk to you folks about today. More cards going out next week. Hopefully, we'll start seeing issues arriving internationally next week. And I'm looking forward to the next couple months to see what we can get. Um, I think number four's campaign should be doable. Um, we're going back to Indiegogo. We're going to integrate what I tried to integrate to the Kickstarter in terms of having everything fucking together the best I can. I'm hoping we'll have some new pages before launch this time. There's a lot of hope. I'm hoping to upgrade hope to definitive ASAP. But we'll see. We'll see, man. We're playing with chaos, and that means there's a fuck ton of potential. But you gotta manifest that potential, and so I don't know. I can't guarantee the manifestation. I can guarantee I'm gonna work my ass off to make it happen. But you can't know. You can't know. It's just not something that's. We don't know the future. But aside from that, yeah. I think that is it on this. Let me see how long we've been going. About an hour and a half, so it's probably about hour 50. Um, oh, a little bit more on the ash can. You put an extra page at the beginning to connect it to Jack and New Deadwood. Great. It's Rad Cat walking around Boardwalk. Yeah, you told me about that. You told me about that. Um, love Rad Cat. Rad Cat's great. And chaos, yeah, it's another word for potential. It's just how you look at it, right? Chaos is the negative potential, I guess, but at least in most circumstances. But I can't find a better word for the insanity of possibility than chaos. So I use chaos. And sometimes potential. Again, I think it's potential. But my coffee is cold. It's about lukewarm, but that's because it's hot in here. My dog is still sleeping, much more peacefully than earlier, though, which is good. Uh, how you doing, Lita? Lita, Lita. Yeah, she's sleeping. Uh, and she had her breakfast. So yeah, I don't think there's much else to say here. Um, as always, mentioned it earlier after we finished the What You're Reading segment. Please let me know what you're reading. Uh, put it in the comments. Put it well, yeah, either comments in chat now or the comments later. I appreciate it if you rewatch this. I hope it's relatively entertaining enough to actually be worth rewatching. Uh, I know live streams get the most exposure and engagement while they're live. That's just how it works. I'm hoping to get this channel to 300 subs before we launch this next thing, but that's about a month. Part of that is that AI art thing because it doesn't take it takes a lot of patience. You got to wait for it to grind iterations. Um, and again, it's about 45 minutes to get about 45 seconds. But I can do other things during that, so that's how I'm able to create that content. So that should probably stay a staple on the channel for the time to come, just because it means I can post something every day uh, without having to really break. It's a lazy way to post a lot of content that I find kind of neat. I like watching those videos. The next step I'd like to integrate is to add music to them, just to give them a little bit more of a mood, right? But I haven't gotten there yet. Uh, and I'm hoping to grow this channel. I'm hoping to grow everything. And we'll see if the hope can turn into manifestation again. We've been blessed quite a few times. Uh, I guess quick note on the GoFundMe. I'm still waiting on my damn checks to come in. It's bothering me, but once the checks come in, I'll sign it. Well, I plan on taking a picture of the bill, also just so folks know everything's on the level. And when it's sent, I'll be updating the GoFundMe, and I'll update social media, all that good stuff, so people know that it's finished. Should be finished and paid for next week. Haven't touched the cash for other reasons, and we should be okay. Um, as long as I ordered the checks properly. It's another new thing. Besides having to mail things, I'm getting to be a big boy now. Fucking A. This year's a lot of that for me. But it's happening, so get that done. And I'm so fucking grateful for everybody for taking care of that fucking thing for me, so I can continue my water without having to fight with my neighbors. Um, I mean, I didn't have to either. She was very understanding about the situation, but it's not cool to leave folks wondering, or she already paid the bill, so it's paying her back, and I don't like leaving people like that, and that was a crisis I didn't need on top of a lot of others, and I'm just so damn grateful for you folks literally swooping in and saving me. Uh, Swooped in and saved our projects multiple times, but that one's a little bit more personal, and it was a lot harder for me to want to try it, right? And the fact that it happened and it's taken care of is just incredible, and super grateful. So I'm hoping by next week, check's supposed to be there on Friday. Hopefully even this weekend I can put that together and mail it, and I'll update everybody with the best, most concise information I can, and we'll go from there. Hopefully, I'll have to update. I think once also the check gets cashed. That's my main concern. Is I don't know. I think I set up the checks right when I ordered them. I don't know because I've never done it before. So we'll see. A little bit nervous, but it should be okay. And that's about it. Let me see. What's your favorite coffee? Anything I can afford. Literally, I just drink black coffee these days. I used to try and put creamer in it, but I put so little that by the time uh, most of it, uh, I wouldn't finish the creamer. I put so little into it, so it would be months and it would just go bad. So I stopped buying creamer and I just drink black coffee. I think right now I've got some kind of Kroger Colombian brand, some generic Colombian Kroger mix. That's fine. Uh, Favorite though, the best coffee I've ever had was like a pumpkin spice latte or whatever at Starbucks. It was fucking delicious. It was very tasty coffee. But on the end, I just need the caffeine. Like that's why I get it. It's caffeine without a bunch of sugar, so I appreciate that. So any kind of coffee, any kind of coffee. Did she eat all her treats? Uh, she finished the ones in my pack. She finished the hiking pack. The pig's still around. Its nose is ripped off, but surprisingly, and all the stuffing is taken out. But the pig's still around. The duck was destroyed. The duck lasted longer than I thought, but eventually she just started shaking it around the neck, and the head came off, and fur and everything. And so I eventually had to toss that, which was sad. But she loved it. She still loves the piggo. What's left of it. It's the longest lasting Piggo. I think we've gone through three counting this one, and this one's lasted a while. Mainly because I'm not wrestling with her too long on it. She likes playing tug of war, and that's what really got the holes going, and she could rip it apart and such, and then she'd put her foot and she'd try to rip it apart. So we haven't gotten to that point again with that Piggo, so that one's still around. But I think in terms of the actual treats, yeah, she has consumed them all. She has consumed them all. But she gets treats from me too. Right now she's going through these cheap little rawhide thingies, and that works. She's been having those since she was a puppy. Used to use them to keep her out of trouble, but she no longer gets in as much trouble. She's a grown up now. She just turned 2, I think, last month. So she's found her groove. I think also her going to work with me and playing with the other dogs and stuff has given her footing. It's given her a place to put out all her energy and to wrestle and all that. So I think that helps. That helps a lot. I'm very grateful for my job for that. In fact, I even get to take her with me and she doesn't have to stay at home. That's a huge relief on me. And the fact that she has fun and she can actually help me at my work, that's really cool. It's really cool. I'm very blessed in that regard. Um, I love that dog. I love you, Alita. Sleepy, sleepy pupper. Um, we should have a Jack and Coyote development podcast. At some point, absolutely, we should. I don't have much more development, so with script 4, I'm the most excited because I love how it came out. Right, script 5, I'm terrified for because the idea is there's a lot of weight to honor with the idea of issue 5. Issue 4, it's based on a very ancient story, a religious story, and a spiritual story, and I'm excited to see if people connect with it. I've teased it again and again. I just hope people will recognize what I'm doing with it because it's taking the structure and finding different outcomes. Whereas this next one, I have to add gravity and honor the concept of what Jack is very directly. I have to involve, there's a lot of character design work that needs to be very on point. And I have to make the story flow right in 32 pages. I think it's doable, but it's the most weight and responsibility I've had in writing an issue since issue number 1. And hope that's understandable. Like issue one, number one had a lot of weight to it. It had to communicate the idea and the character very well. This has to do the same thing, but deeper and stronger with more resonance and more emotional and more emotional weight. That's the best I can put it. Um, and it's very important to do it right because it's a super big thing for character development on Jack issue 5. Um, so I'm terribly nervous about that. So developing it with $U coins might help. I don't see it not helping. Uh, I've teased it before. It's Jack and the Chimera. But what the Chimera is and why, uh, issue 5 justifies Tracker's appearance in issue 3. It justifies all of the extra weight I put into issue 1. Uh, and it comes off the heel of what we do in issue 4. And and then it justifies the end of the arc with issue 6, right? Issue 6, we go back to kind of a more straight on concept. Basically, a heist is issue 6. Uh, but issue 5 is a psychological battle. It's fucking warfare through the mind, and that's something I have to hit very directly and very well. Otherwise, it's going to be a waste because it's going to be one of the few times we're able to do that, and it's super important. Again, it justifies issue number 1. And it's really important to me. So I would like to development, but with the least amount of spoilers, right? That's the tough part about development streams. And then the other thing about me is I don't want to get ahead of myself too far. Um, I work the best under direct pressure, and with how Jack manifests, it needs to be slightly loose so that it can become what it needs to be. So a lot of things to balance, but there's no reason we can't do some sort of development stream. Hopefully with issue 5, that would be really cool. Um, if she's there, then who's guarding the house? The locked door and the locked gate. I hope. I hope. I know the story you're trying to do. I've read it in one of my books that breaks it down. Yeah, I think you do. I think you do. It's going to be interesting. You can always reintegrate what IronVerse is and other stories within, unless that'd be too spoilery. I was really late coming in, so I don't know anything that was spoken about before this year. It's all right. It's the same things. Again, tenacity is one of Jack's 3 discoveries in all his lives, right? Tenacity will get you through anything. So when you compare tenacity to being stubborn, the ideas are the same. Is basically what I'm saying. For how loose and like water I want us to be, we're like a river. We're very stubborn. We're gonna go. We're going downhill. We're going downhill. We're going the same direction. Better than saying downhill. I think we're going uphill. It's an uphill battle, and things are pushing uphill. But we've got gravity behind us, and the gravity is the same point, right? That's the ideas. That's the manifestation. So though you haven't been there for the entire bit, very little has changed. Very little has changed. There's just more of it. Um, you might have to send me the book to help you. Maybe. Issue 5's next year, so it would be good to have the right research. I want to get through Berserk again for a little bit of it, particularly the Golden Age arc, where it really sets the trauma of Guts in motion. That's important. I reread. Epo has been actually a bit of an inspiration there too, because we need that tenacity, that fire, that drive to be behind Jack as well. That needs to be communicated. Um, there's a lot that needs to be communicated and then fought. I'm trying to think of a direct example. Samurai Jack had a few episodes kind of dealing with the idea I want to, um, where the battle isn't physical, it's mental, a spiritual battle almost. So that's important. There's an angle to it where I kind of want it to be dreamlike, where Jack will be doing one thing and then it'll transition, and the reader doesn't know it's transitioned until things start going weird. that Alice in Wonderland kind of feel, where is she sleeping? Is she awake? What's this hallucination? That kind of feel to it. I want it to have that. Um, there's a lot to it. It's my most ambitious storytelling endeavor. So it's the one I'm most nervous about. Issue 6, Issue 6 is going to be fucking easy comparatively. Issue 6 is just making you understand Famine Inc. more directly, right? Um, very directly. Issue 4's a lot about that. Issue 4 kind of really sets it up, but issue 6 is you're fucking in the thick of it. Issue 5 though is I'm excited. I'm really excited. It's a tough one. It's the one that I think will, if done right, it's the issue I think people will really remember. So I really want people to remember it, and I really need people to do that. So that it's got a lot of responsibility. Again, it's the most responsibility since issue number one. So I'm excited. You need a cool factor too. Oh, that's not going to be too hard. Um, it shouldn't be too hard. I think the reveal uh, that it has will be part of that. Again, character design is going to be really important. Not only for the psychological factors, but also for when it's brought back into physicality. There's a design that needs to really hit. Um, First 50 episodes of Bleach will help too. Well, good, good. Again, I did not get into Bleach, but I could try it again. I had a buddy who really enjoyed it, and so he tried to get me into it, and I watched, I don't know, 12 episodes, something like that. Eh, main character didn't really resonate with me, but we'll see. We'll see. I might try it again. But yeah, I think that covers most everything, folks. If I can, I'd like to get at least this fucking IronVerse quickie done today. Shouldn't be hard. Uh, Honestly, I would love to queue up a bunch of quickies today. Like that would be my goal for this afternoon after cleaning and making sure that one's fed and my cat's fed and all that. The afternoon feeding anyway, and the chickens are fed. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. I have to do another round of preparing mailers as well. My days off are going like that because basically the days off are playing catch up for the stuff that I couldn't do during the work week, and that's making me tired. But it's doable. I got a lot to do. And I can't complain because all of it's opportunity. And as long as I can continue to rise, hopefully things will improve. You cut off right before it got good. Same thing for my nephew. Yeah, it was somewhere around there where I just like, okay, So hopefully it does get good. I heard that like there's a bunch of arcs against like a ruling class or an upper class of those. They're like guardians or something, right? That he's put in. Again, it reminds me of Yu Yu Hakusho a little bit on that angle. Um, there's whatever he is, Ichigo I think is the main character name. Whatever role he falls into, the veterans. I've heard there's a lot of really cool characters in that, right? Just like the pirate captains in One Piece. Um, so yeah, hopefully there's something there to kind of connect. I like the female character if I remember right, the Spitfire, smaller little version of whatever Ichigo becomes. I liked her a lot. Um, but that's all I really remember. The Soul Society, that's it. That's it. Yep, the Soul Society. That was what my buddy was talking a lot about. Is that they're really cool. So I gotta get there. I gotta get there. Yes, Rukia. That was her name. Yes, Rukia. Boom, boom, boom. Let me check here. Oh wow, I got a lot of notifications. What does this mean? Oh, I got you, Mrs. H. If you're here, I got your bit. I am happy to do the link and update your name on there. Absolutely, uh, no problemo. I'll do that after the stream. see, is there anything important here that I need to? Okay, just catching up on something real quick, folks. That's fine. That's good. Do 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 do. No, it doesn't look like there's anything else super important. But I got you. I got you. Um, in fact, let me. I don't know if I have ADD, but holy hell, is it hard for me to focus if I don't do things right away. So let me do that right now so I don't forget. So what I need to do is go over here, go to pages, go to fan art. Come on, load fan art. Go down from Bruce's. I think Bruce has an art station too. Boom. So I'll update the name right now. Let me go over to Twitter so I don't miss it. And I will not dox, don't worry. That's why I'm not showing this. Uh, that right there. Copy. Then I'll turn it into a link that links to the art station. No problemo. Boom. Then I go here, and then I make it a link. And then I go over here, and then I go. Oh, well, it's going to be. Your name's going to be on the piece anyway. I wouldn't be doxing anything. What am I talking about? It's all good. It's all good. There you go. There. I know you open commissions as well, so if anybody's watching this, go ahead and check out Mrs. H on the fan art here to get to her art station to check out her work, and then consider same window, no, new window, so that you don't lose your place. Insert link. Now let's see if that worked. Let's see if that worked. Oh, very cool. Yeah. Oh man, Bruce, you've been a godsend. He did one of the he did like the first piece of Jack Irons fan art that really hit me. In fact, I'll show that piece. Boom, 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 boom. Let me go over here because I gotta see if it worked anyway, if the link works anyway. So I could share that. Boop. Okay, so here's that. Guitar Boom, it's red and it is a link. So you click on it and boom, takes you there. So cool. We got that working for you. Got that working easy peasy. So Bruce, let me show you the first. It was one of the earliest pieces of fan art I got. Period. This piece right here. One of the earliest pieces of fan art I got. Period. And when I saw the talent, man, blew me the fuck away. Uh, and since then, he's been super supportive, and I think that's partially because I've been super supportive as well. But he's done piece after piece. This was for an Halloween contest we ran, I believe, in 2018. This was when he was promoting his own work, The Wreck. This was when we were doing. There was a good chunk of time where there was when Jackie Irons was kind of popular, and so they were doing more and more the gender band there. And this was the most recent piece besides the most recent where he was asking like what kind of bike does Jack ride? And so this is the Canon bike. At least it should have been. The one that Maxi did is a little bit more rougher, feels a bit more cyberpunky. It was not my intent. This is my intent. This was totally the bike I wanted. But we'll see. We'll see. The nice thing about what's called the captain, which is what he calls whatever vehicle that he's currently on, um, that's how it's supposed to work. But like Jack, it's got a lot of different forms, I think. And you'll notice with Bruce, and I think I was saying this earlier, is his face. The face of Jack kind of is different every time he does it, and I appreciate that. But yeah, so if you color any of these pieces, please let me know. I'd love to see them. I haven't seen any of these colored. The only piece of Bruce's I've seen colored was for a pinup that we did. But yeah, your link's working. I'll have to do the same for other folks, but I'm happy that your link's working. Easy peasy, easy peasy. I actually think I'll do that on Hannah's pieces too, because I know what she'd like to. I can link it to her Patreon pretty easy. I can link that to his YouTube. I could take some time and link folks. I think I'm just gonna have to take a couple hours and do that here. This was just rough to get it done, so. But yeah, that's something I should do. That's something I should do. Again, I want it to honor the hard work that's put in to make all of it happen, right? So that's the right thing to do. I'll do that um, here soon enough. But that was a good nudge, and I'm happy you nudged me. I'm glad it works. But that does, I think, cover everything I need and or wanted and other things to talk about today. Um, so, as usual, with what you read, and I'll kind of go through what we read and talked about today, real quick for the finish, and then we'll call the stream. I haven't been doing many streams. I'd love to do another one tonight. We'll see. Um, Today's Thursday, so it would have to be a relatively early one before I got work tomorrow. But we'll see. If not, catch you next week. I'm hoping to do more streams, though. I'm hoping to drop more content. Um, but at least every day you can look forward to seeing some AI art. And I find it incredibly interesting what the machine mind manifests out of the concepts that you can put into it. I think it's really cool. There's some really cool pieces coming up too that I really liked that the AI put out. And I'd love people to guess what the ideas I use to trigger the pieces are. Some of them, once you got the idea of it, you can't unsee it because it's close enough, but it's still the insane mind of a machine, and I think that's really cool. But anyway, um, Black Light District, 6 issues. Basically, 6 songs put to comic art, and the songs aren't that good, and it doesn't ruin the art, but there's a massive disconnect because the art's really good. Um, Dollar bin pickup? Yeah, sure. It's a crazy idea that you probably will never see again. Uh, Gru. If you find Gru in the dollar bin, pick it up. Not only is it worth more than the dollar now, thanks to the collector's market, but you'll get the definition of a funny book. Uh, Not always going to have laugh out loud, huge chuckle moments, but there will be funny bits. Very smart, humorous man put these together. So that was 35. 34, same thing. 33, 34, 35 are kind of a micro arc. So if you can pick those 3 up in a row, you'll get the whole kind of story. But they're actually also pretty well self-contained. Like I could only have read 33 last time, and it was really good. Um, and then I moved on to like 70, right? I had a huge jump. So now that jump's a little smaller, which is nice. But more Gru next week. Please check out Gru. It's an underrated, creator-owned comic, and I fucking love it. Hajime no Ippo. Very hard to get a hold of English legitimately. I think you can get a hold of the fan translations through Amazon, which a whole bag of worms, right? They literally took the fan translations and then put them for sale legitimately. I think that's kind of funny, but still very much worth getting a hold of. Beautiful read. I really hope they do a legitimate translation and then print them because I will buy every volume and catch up. That I would buy that before I buy One Piece, and that's a hell of a thing. Um, but how I'm reading them, I don't care. It's so much worth the read. And then Tukey, Fight for Fire. You can't get a hold of it right now. Ran on Kickstarter. He's fulfilling, I think, in September you might be able to get a hold of physical copies and probably digital as well. Um, More Jeff Smith, and if you've read and loved Bone, you'll love and really enjoy Tukey so far. I certainly did. I like Tukey's ideas and the concepts that he's trying to tackle a little bit more than Bone. But just wonderful characterizations. He's a master of characterizations. He's a master of gentle storytelling, not ham-fisted storytelling. Um, Incredible indie comic talent and a self-made indie comic talent that's very much worth supporting. So definitely check out Tukey when it comes out publicly. I think the webcomic might still be up, so if you want to check that out, it's probably free and still up. Just look up Tukey, Jeff Smith, and you'll probably find it. Some of book 1 is taken directly from the webcomic, but with tweaked art and tweaked writing. But the majority, like 85% of it, is new content. So definitely worth checking out. The artistry, again, is incredible. Just one of my favorite indie comic creators ever. Very much worth your time. And that is that. He asked, "What's on my mug?" So if you're familiar, this is Raven Monroe did that little chibi of uh, Regina Rogowski from Rags um, eating a crayon. And so if you're got any kind of interest in military slang, Marines are called crayon eaters by others. Like they're knuckleheads, they're sledgehammers, they're blunt, forceful, right? Crayon eaters. And so it's Regina, who was a Marine, eating a crayon that says thank you in chibi form, done by Raven Monroe, who did the colors on our issue 2 variant cover. Very, very stoked about her. She was the one guest colorist I could actually snag, which bothered me. I really wanted Frank Martin to color issue 1, but it is what it is. Yeah, I support the Rags Patreon, so I get their stuff, and this was one of the bits for supporting them for so long. It sends out a piece of merchandise, which I think my page should be set up to send you a sticker after you hit a certain threshold of giving. Um, I haven't seen anybody get that sticker, so I'm not sure if I have that running properly. I'm gonna have to check that out on Patreon. But it's the same form. This one's just a mug. I really wish it was double-sided, not just white, but it's still nice. It's still nice. I have a couple. I have 2 Regina mugs. The other one's National Waifu Association mug, so I like that one too. I love the pun. Um, but yeah, that's that. Um, this has been What You Read. I'm Cody with IronVerse Comics. Do all the YouTube, Twitch, and other streaming stuff to help spread the word. I'm really hoping to get to that 300 subscriber mark before I launch issue number 4's campaign. I'm gonna have to push a little harder, but again, the AI art's part of that, just so that it's omnipresent on the algorithm. But also, I would like to do more than one stream a week. I'm going to try and get the energy to do that again. I would like to get more IronVerse quickies. I'm hoping to film 1 or 2 today. We'll see. They're really not that difficult. It's just me focusing my energy when I have so many different places that it needs to be focused to. It can be difficult. I'm getting better and I'm taking care of what needs to, but that's an angle I'm way behind. It's been like 2 months since the last one, and that's not great. It's not great. But at least I've been able to keep this every week. And that's great because there were a few times where I wanted to do things every week and it just didn't work out. But this is the 10th What You're Reading. That means it's been 2.5 months of me consistently being here at least once a week to talk to you folks about what I've been reading and what you've been reading. And I'm really happy about that. And I thank you folks for showing up, talking about it, listening, engaging, and yeah. Um, Excited for the future of IronVerse Comics. I'm trying to make us more approachable, and we were already pretty approachable, but not only more approachable, but more rewarding for engaging with us. So that was what the side update was about, and that's what making sure that this is here weekly. I would like it to be consistently Wednesday, but yesterday I couldn't do it. I really wanted to, but it's just the mood was not there. And I've done streams where I'm in a bad mood and I regret them. Um, like my campaign debriefing for this for the Kickstarter hardcover. I was like, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, so I did it tomorrow, and I should have waited a few days and breathed. I think I probably got more honest energy out there about it, but it wasn't as playful and as fun as I'd like this content to be. Rags and Jack crossover when? So I have a script written that's been with Brian for a while. And he's doing these anthologies called American Hops. I would love that to fit in there, but everybody's real busy and they're hustling real good and they've got a very bright future that I'm hoping manifests correctly for them because the channel that they're in, I'm gonna say channel, the channel's the best word I can think of, but I don't want you to get confused with I could say rut, but rut has negative connotations. The path that they're on works. It's just a little loose, looser than channel. Um, is interesting. I'm really stoked to see what happens. So, Time will tell. Time will tell. I would like that. Right now we have a shirt. That's the crossover we have. It's available on IronVerseComics.com. Use the code GetIrons for 25% off your order. But besides that, yeah, there's no official like date planned. The script's there. He has a script. He did his bits through it. He liked it. Um, but no movement there, as far as I'm aware. And they just finished season one of Rags. Right now, they're doing Sailor Rogowski. Part one and part two have manifested. I think now they're actually on to Wrinkle in Time, which is their kind of Zelda fantasy version. What they're doing is what Final Fantasy Spirits Within was trying to do. So if folks know the story behind the CGI character in Spirits Within, the main lead, right? What they wanted to do with that character is to keep the model, quite literally the model of that character, and then put her into different films. So you'd have a virtual actress. And that's kind of what Rags is doing with that version of Regina. Is they're taking her and putting her in different roles. I think it works better in comics than it ever could have in film. So I think they're on the right track, and I think it's a fucking genius idea. So you have Regina as Rags, which is a very grounded, gritty zombie PTSD story. Then you have Sailor Rogowski, which is more of a fun manga superhero story. And then you have this fantasy story. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see how that plays out for them, especially with other more secret angles that they've got going on that I hope manifests very well for them because it could explode the knowledge of their project and what they're trying to do. It could really make it something absolutely spectacular. And all my love and best wishes to that team. They were one of the first fucking people to reach a hand down and lift me up when I was trying to do this, and I've done my best to honor that and to pay it forward. Constant inspiration. Very cool folks. Yeah, yeah. Wrinkle in Time. Yeah, it's their Legend of Zelda. I'm gonna say, I guess satire would be close, but it's their own fantasy thing. But they kind of make it like Sailor Rogowski, Sailor Moon, but it's its own thing, right? It's not a parody per se. It's not a satire. It's taking a archetype or a character, an archetype. That's the best I could do. A icon, and twisting it, and then doing what they want to do with it. Very cool. Sailor Rogowski's original subtext was hot blooded foreigner because it tries to discuss how it is to be a Westerner in the East. The writer was a Marine and he spent a good amount of time in Okinawa. And so it helps, how it felt to be in that very isolationist island mentality of Japan, right? And being somebody who looks different and speaks different and all that. It deals with that. Rags, the original, dealt with military PTSD, watching some horror take form and dealing with that mentally, consistently. And then Wrinkle in Time, I'm not quite sure, but the main character is mute. So there's got to be some angle to that, just because I know a bit of how that writer thinks. So I'm curious what that angle is and why she's mute. I think it's gonna deal with exploitation, if I'm being honest. Um, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah. Anyway, excited. Um, yeah, I think that covers everything. I already did most of the sign off, but do all the YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and all that nonsense that really helps us grow. Check out IronVerseComics.com. Trying to update near daily. We have a bunch of new products on there. I'd love to sell some things. That's the other way. The website goes from being paid for on Patreon to being profitable very quickly if we sell an item, and it only needs to be one item, right? It makes a massive difference. And that should cover it. I'm Cody with IronVerse Comics, and I'll catch you on that rusty trail. I'll see you folks next time, and hopefully that's sooner rather than later. But if not, hopefully Wednesday next week. If not, Thursday next week. And it's rarely going to be a Tuesday anymore, so it's either Wednesday or Thursday. Hopefully Wednesday. I would rather do it on New Comic Book Day just for the connotations, right? But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, love you all. Take care. Catch you later.